Thanks, Paul. Yep.
Yeah, fine. I know I've got 10 minutes and I've got this clock telling me here I've got 10 minutes if I go over. So I think the plan is to talk fast and not tell any bad jokes. This is a fantastic initiative, and I think enormous credit to Etty and the Israel Trade Commission. And it's been a really, I think it's the most exciting time we've seen for ties between Israel and Australia. We led a group of about 40 people to Israel in June. We had an amazing week. A number of the people here in the room, including Alan, were very, very generous of their time and presented to us. And since then, it seems like we've had a group of Australians going to Israel every week or so to try to learn the Israeli success and the Israeli magic. And it's really, really nice. It's really nice to have a group of Israelis returning the favour and spending this week with us. And it's wonderful having you all in the room. It's also a very exciting time for the technology industry in Australia. I think, certainly for the 18 years that I've been involved in the technology industry, there hasn't been any other time of such excitement and such passion and energy in terms of across a whole lot of dimensions. And that's generated a lot of excitement, a lot of interest. The reality, though, is in every city in the world, in every country in the world, people are trying to do what we're doing, and people are trying to do what we're trying to do, and trying to do what the Israelis have achieved over the last 20 or 30 years. So we have to make significant steps forward just to stand still. And I don't think we should underestimate the enormity of the size of the task if we want to build a really, really innovative country over the next 20 or 30 years. But it's a goal that's achievable, and it's certainly something that I think is obviously incredibly important for the future of the country. So let's come back to the context of why we invested in Israel. And there are a lot of elements that are required to make a successful technology ecosystem. You need great government policy, you need great educational institutions, you need venture capitalists, you need accelerators, you need incubators, you need lawyers, you need accountants. But the one ingredient that you need absolutely more than any other, of course, is smart and talented and hungry entrepreneurs who are trying to solve really, really big problems. And Israel has that in spades. Israel has more of those people. Israel has more of those people than any other place in the world outside of the Bay Area in the United States. So, of course, that's a big part of the excitement for us. By way of context, we've been operating in Israel now for about 18 months. We have two partners in our Israel team, Arad Naver, who's known to a number of the Israelis here, ex-entrepreneur, ex-Cisco executive, partner of Benchmark Capital and angel investor. And he joined us when we started up in Israel last year. And a former colleague of mine from Seek, Dan Krasenstein, who moved to Tel Aviv also a little bit over a year ago. We've invested a little bit over $50 million US in Israel in 5 different investments. And we most recently led around in a quite extraordinary business that many of you would be familiar with called Fiverr. And really, really excited to be involved in companies of that calibre, which is really a reflection of the great depth and capability of the Israeli technology ecosystem. So why are we investing in Israel? Well, I guess the first and obvious reason is there's an extraordinary number of talented entrepreneurs and great investment opportunities, and Alan spoke about some of those in the last few minutes. So first and foremost, it's about getting great returns. We are passionate about supporting outstanding entrepreneurs. We're passionate about contributing to the ecosystems that we operate in. But ultimately, you can only do that by backing great entrepreneurs. And as I said, in Israel, there's many, many of them. But there are also other spin-off benefits for us. There's other benefits for us that come about as a result of investing in Israeli companies. And that's around the learnings and the expertise that we get from investing in Israel. We're absolutely convinced that by investing in Israel, it's making us better at making investment decisions in all of the markets we operate in Australia, through Southeast Asia, that the access to networks we're getting, the expertise, the entrepreneurs, the knowledge base that we're building as a result of investing in Israel is not just good for us directly in relation to our Israeli investments, but also very, very exciting for us in terms of the sorts of investments that we're looking to make more broadly outside of Israel as well. And of course, there's also an element around the ecosystem in this country. Like a lot of the people in this room, we are incredibly passionate about making a small contribution to helping Australia become a more innovative country. And there is no better place, of course. There is no better place, of course, to look than Israel in terms of sort of the role model and the example and what Israel's achieved over the last 20 or 30 or 40 years. But there's I think there's an interesting note to that. It's about listening to and learning from what's happening in Israel and applying those learnings to our unique set of circumstances. Every country, every ecosystem is unique and it's different. And one of the meetings that we had in Tel Aviv in June was with Professor Daniel Zeifman, who's the president of the Weizmann Institute. As most people in this room know, one of the most extraordinary postgraduate institutes in the world. An incredible amount of technology and innovation has come out of a very, very small pool of academics and students. It's an extraordinary institution. And he talked about the fact that people from all over the world are visiting the Weizmann Institute and trying to learn and understand what the secret is of what the Weizmann's achieved, what Israel's achieved more broadly in terms of its technology ecosystem. And he said to us, the people who come and visit us the most, the people who want to learn the most from what we do and try to copy what we do are the Singaporeans. They're constantly here, they're learning, they're asking questions, and they're implementing policies based on Israeli policies in Singapore. And he said the problem is that Israelis hate authority. We're always challenging authority. We always think we're smarter than everyone else. We always think we've got the answer. In the stereotype Singaporean culture, there's much more acceptance of authority. And therefore, what works for Israel isn't going to work for the Singaporeans and of course, vice versa. And so I think the lesson for us from that is there's a huge amount for us as we try to develop a really outstanding technology ecosystem in this country. There's a huge amount that we can learn from what Israel's achieved over the last generation. But we're not going to do it by simply taking a template and copying what Israel's done. There are so many unique factors and circumstances that apply to Israel that don't apply to Australia and vice versa. But the opportunity for us to learn, to collaborate, partner, and hopefully build successful businesses together is incredibly exciting. Thank you very much.
I'm glad to be able to tell you that we are officially trending on Twitter. So those of you putting messages into Bizzaboo or directly into Twitter, thank you very much and keep doing it. We're soon going to overtake those cats in Europe, apparently. Let me introduce you on that note to Cliff Rosenberg, the CEO of LinkedIn Australia. Cliff.